NNAMDI KANU file a fresh suit against Nigerian government and seek termination of his trial. So in this video, you are going to hear everything from this our Biafran activist who will explain everything concerning what is really going on between the fresh suit which NNAMDI KANU has filed against the federal government and also be seeking termination of those trial and say that all those cases they have been using to pin him, it is baseless. So there is no any case and there is no need of still continue trying him because of all those cases they are using. It is baseless. So there is no any value something that is there. So you are going to hear from this our journalists that explain a lot concerning what is really going on, because this issue of continue detaining NNAMDI KANU, it has become something of a debate everywhere. The government, they know what they are doing and they don't want to reason because they feel like raising him will become the end of Nigeria. And all those why I hope that all those why they are just trying to bribe him, just to bribe him to make him to accept one Nigeria. That is why they are doing all those things. But all those things they are doing, we hope that their method of going and their method of doing in a way that NNAMDI KANU will drop his agitation, or NNAMDI KANU will drop his movement of independence. I don't think it will be so. I don't think so. All those things they are dragging him everyday court trial without any tangible thing they are talking about. It is another thing. So now NNAMDI KANU have taken his case by himself. Let us see how the whole thing will come out. So we hope everything will come out true in a good way. So as you're about to ready, try to like, subscribe, and share the video to go around. And I would like to hear your comments down below.
NNAMDI KANU files fresh suit against federal government, seeks termination of his trial. The detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, NNAMDI KANU, has filed a fresh suit against the federal government, seeking permanent termination of his continued trial. He also adduced reasons the trial should not be allowed to continue after being discharged by the Court of Appeal, describing it as a flagrant violation of the rule of law. In the suit marked FHC ABJ CR 383/2015, a copy of which was made available to Vanguard through the family, KANU highlighted 4 defects of his continued trial. These 4 defects: contempt of appellate authority, failure to take judicial notice of repeal, denial of fair hearing, and reliance on forgery, are all ex facie recordi and strike at the root of jurisdiction, the suit read. Each of these defects is independently fatal. Cumulatively, they render the entire trial incompetent and void, the suit added. KANU argued that the federal government remains in flagrant contempt of a subsisting appellate judgment, which had in the past discharged him. By the doctrine of appellate finality, that order terminated the trial absolutely, he submitted. Until it was set aside by the Supreme Court, after 14 months, it remained binding in presenting an enforceable ex debito justitiae. See Governor of Lagos State vs. Ojukwu, 1986, 1 NWLR, PT 18, 621, Rosek v. ACB Limited, 1993, 8 NWLR, PT 312, 382. A contemner cannot invoke the equitable discretion of a lower court while continuing in disobedience, ex turpi causa non orata actio. KANU also argued that he had been denied fair hearing, in violation of Section 36(6)(b) and C of the 1999 Constitution and Article 7(1)(c) of the African Charter. He said that after 4 years in solitary detention, he was permitted only 3 hours of monitored consultation with counsel in the courtroom on the eve of entering his defense in a capital case. That is not fair hearing, it is judicial perversity, the suit read. On the defect of reliance on a forged medical report, Kanu said the court's ruling on his fitness to stand trial rests upon a forged medical report dated the 23rd of September, 2025. He noted that the order directing the NMA to examine him was made on the 26th of September, 2025, while the purported report was issued 3 days earlier. Kanu insisted that no such examination ever occurred, adding that reliance on that fraudulent document vitiates the ruling. Citing Madukolu v. Nkemdalim, 1962, 2 SCNLR 341, Kanu said, where any condition precedent to jurisdiction is absent, the entire proceedings are a nullity. He, therefore, urged the court to declare these proceedings void and to terminate the trial forthwith in obedience to the rule of law.
Oh yes, this is a very nice move for coming now and to say the court they should end his trial, because there is no need of still continue with the same talk every day and every day. So let us see what will finally come out with this issue, or with this issue which he has dropped to the table. So I would like you to watch this our brother that grant interview to Channel TV. So where he explained a lot of things about Gowon, where Gowon is pleading to Tinubu to please and they release NNAMDI KANU, because they are saying that still holding him is not getting them any benefit, and the continue of holding NNAMDI KANU is destroying Nigeria every day by day without the government knowing what they are doing. So just sit by and watch. Don't go anywhere. As you're watching, try to like, subscribe, and share. And I would like to hear your comments down below. Thank you.
Were you surprised that Gowon had to speak up at this time? Let's start with the timing of his intervention. It looks like, are you one of those who had expected him to speak before now?
Well, we had expected him to speak before now, especially since the verbal statement or discourse of the former military president, General Ibrahim Babangida, when he told a vast group of audience that January 15, 1962 coup wasn't an Igbo coup, as it had hitherto been believed by Nigerians, that the coup was masterminded by Igbo military officers. And we thank God that the IBB came out and said it wasn't an Igbo coup. It was a coup by progressive and young military officers who wanted better deal for Nigeria. Of course, we understand that part of their intention was to restore Chief Obafemi Awolowo as the Prime Minister of Nigeria, but propagandists turned it upside down and accused the Igbos of masterminding the coup. So after that, I had expected that other major actors would have come up to talk. And so it's somehow belated, but it's better than nothing. We thank God that it's coming at this time, because what actually happened at that time has continued to happen. It came at the time the whole world has condemned the continued incarceration of NNAMDI KANU. And so I want to commend General Yakubu Gowon for coming out, for being courageous enough to talk to Nigerians that it's time that we reconcile and unify Nigeria and heal the wound of the civil war, which devastated the Igbo land.
All right. So, but the statements from him, did it categorically apologize for any role he played from your reading of it? Because many people might read it differently. Did he categorically apologize for any role he must have played? Or was he really just, he was just keeping it plain? Let Nigeria be one and let's reconcile.
Well, we know that major role he played first is that he was the head of state. he attended the Aburi conference with General Odumegwu then. They agreed to have a government that's similar to a kind of confederation arrangement. Of course, when they came back to Nigeria, the colonialists who didn't want progress of Nigeria advanced him otherwise. And so he changed. He reneged from the Aburi Accord. And that, with a number of things, it was followed by splitting Nigeria into 12 states. And eventually, it led to a civil war. There was a high level of genocide of the Igbos in different parts of the country. He couldn't condemn that. He couldn't do anything. And even when the war was declared, it's against the rule of war to use hunger as a weapon. But starvation was allowed to be deployed during Nigeria-Biafra civil war. So in all that, there was land blockade, sea and air blockade against Biafrans. So, but Biafrans managed to withstand the war. Of course, the federal government had estimated that within 2 weeks, they would have wiped out Biafrans. But as luck will have it, the war lasted for 30 solid months of impressive records from the Biafrans, the people that were land, sea, and air blockade. They couldn't import anything. No major power supported them. And for the first time in world history, two superpowers, United States and the then Soviet Union, despite the existence of Cold War, you know there was a Cold War there, but even at that, the Soviet Union and United States of America buried their differences and teamed together with other European powers, Britain, France, and so forth. They joined the federal government side, and Biafrans will still the war for 30 solid months. And so after the war, we had expected the brilliant performance of Biafrans would have encouraged the federal government to harness the impressive and unprecedented technology they displayed. You know that during the war, with the land, sea, and air blockade, Nigerian soldiers had no alternative than to rely on themselves. They started producing, they produced armored vehicles, they produced most of the ammunition they used to defend themselves. And despite the fact that the South Biafra land was the battlefield, they would stand the war very gallantly. We had expected that after the war, federal military government should have harnessed that thing and assembled those engineers that built Ogbunigwe, that is interballistic missile, under war condition. They didn't do that because Biafrans are Igbos. So you see today, Nigeria has been rudderless. You don't know the direction we are moving. You see that Nigeria, even before the Civil War, Eastern region was rated as the fastest growing economy in the world. I think 9.2%. Now, today, after many years after the war, Nigeria cannot come anywhere among the leading economies in the world. But a part of Nigeria, Eastern region, was rated as the fastest growing economy in the world. Now, today, because of the failure of the federal government to harness the ingenuity and creativity of Biafrans, Nigeria has been there. And since then, that part of the country has witnessed continued marginalization, exclusion, deprivation, and the near intimidation. So you see, if you look at it politically, no Igbo man has been allowed to be president of this country since after the war. The nearest was 1979, when His Excellency Dr. Alex Ekwueme was elected the vice president of this country. And you can see that he performed. He was the pillar of that administration, Shagari administration. He performed extensively well. And by December 31st, 1983, there was another military coup. We had it on good authority that that military coup was done to prevent an Igbo man from succeeding Shagari. Now, politically again, you find out that we have, till today, we have 6 zones in the country. It is expected that each zone should produce one of the first 6 positions. And these positions include the presidency as number 1, vice president as number 2, Senate president as number 3, Speaker of the House of Representatives number 4, Chief Justice of the Federation, and then Secretary to the Government of the Federation. We are not having any of these. So that is a marginalization. 2, I'm talking of political marginalization. 2, other zones, the other 5 zones, each has not less than 6 states. Northwest has 7, but Southeast has only 5. Now, if you go to the National Assembly, each state, other zone, Southwest has 18 senators, North Central has 18 senators, Northeast has 18 senators, South has 18 senators, Northwest 21 senators, Southeast has 15 senators. That is minority. You go to a number of local governments. Kano has 44 local governments. Jigawa was carved after Kano. It has 33. If you put 2 of them, 77. Add Kaduna, the 3 states have more local government than the entire Southeast put together. And you know that today, allocation from federation account goes direct to the local government. So you see, Kano will be getting 44 shares, Jigawa 33. You can now check the states in the Southeast. How many will they get? So this is extent of, even today, ministerial, you talk of grade A ministries. How many does Southeast have? Southeast has Ministry of Works. That's the only substantive. And then until the certificate forgery issue, Southeast are the only 2, but and right now is 1. The others are Minister of State and so forth. So you see that politically Southeast is marginalized. Now talk of institutions. How many federal institutions do you have in the Southeast? The University of Nigeria, Nsukka, was built by Eastern Region. Apart from Futo Owerri, Federal University of Technology Owerri, you see that NNAMDI KANU was developed by former Anambra state government, and eventually federal government came in. You talk of agriculture. Yes, it was also built, the Umudike, it was built by former Eastern government and now taken over federal government. But we thank federal government for that. But to talk of, Kaduna alone has over 27 federal institutions. State. The entire Southeast, you can count. How many do we have? And other things. Now you come to projects. Where are the federal projects in the Southeast? You see that under General Buhari administration, Nigeria took $22.7 billion loan for railway project. That railway, the Southeast was excluded from that project. Yet the Southeast will be part of repayment. Rather, federal government use that money to provide railway to Niger, extend it to Niger, instead of accommodating Southeast.
Oh yes, that is it. That is the kind of injustice the Igbo people face in Nigeria. And that is why Mazan Kano is doing what he's doing. And there is no anybody that have sense that will come up and they will be telling you that everything this man is saying here, it is not truth. The truth is there, everybody is saying it. So it's only the fool that will come up and will be talking anyhow that Mazan Kano is doing what is not right. If you know that you will not accept Igbo in a country where you say they are apart, so give them their rights, give them what they deserve, not by maltreating them, putting them as a second class citizen or third class citizen of a country. That is not going to happen. And that those era is what Mazam Kano is trying to end by all means. So I would like to hear your comments down below. Like, subscribe, and I would like you to share this video massively so that it will get to everywhere. And thank you for watching.